Without you, we can't do no business.
For real?
Yep. So thank you for gracing us with your
So I'm a little
presence.
bit special?
Yeah, a little bit.
Awesome.
Not a
Okay.
lot, but just a little. We'll let you be special tonight, how's that?
Just tonight only.
Yeah. Okay, it is 5:45, and I will call this meeting to order. Everyone should have gotten the minutes in the last hour in email, but I think there is a copy in their folder, right, Michael? So I would entertain a motion
That's your old one.
to accept the minutes.
I make a motion, minutes
Thank you, May.
accepted, to be accepted.
Second?
Second?
Thank you, Joe. There could possibly be addendum to this minutes that might come next month, so. But for now, we've got what we've got. So if then there are no changes, I would take a motion, no, I have the motion. I will call for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, just a reminder that January, we will be electing a chair and a vice chair. If anyone is interested in those positions, please let Cynthia know. The brochure is done. The QR code is in the brochure. I actually went through the box of things at Tucker the other night and took out all the brochures that had Dana's name on it. Got rid of those and kept the ones that we have with our names on them. Isn't it? But it looks really good. So I think Grace had a part in that, right?
Yes. She may grace us with her presence.
Grace may grace us with her presence. Grace is our intern, for those of you that don't know that. And she goes to SU, and she was at Tucker with me for a while on Monday. But she has done
She
nice
came with
things
you.
with us.
She came with y'all
Did she
last
go
night.
last night too? Okay. So,
And
you know,
she
I think
created a-
we've all of us that have seen the brochure, I don't have any with me.
First time on the back table. I think.
Okay, have tested out the QR code to make sure it goes right to the complaint form, and it does. So people can now fill the complaint form out just by scanning it with the QR code and then sending it. And Michael says we've gotten one already,
Awesome.
so thought that was pretty cool. We are now in the 21st century. Took us a while to get there, but we are there. Raynette can talk about our computer stuff in a minute. Also, Michael did one sheet with just the QR code that's on our tables when we have tabling events. So if somebody wants to just walk by and snap it real quick, they can do that. And people that will do that do know what it means when they see the QR code, so that works for us. Do you want to talk about the computer now, as long as we're on technology stuff and how issues we've been having and how
Yeah,
they
so
fix them?
we are merging to, we have fully merged to Office 365, which then in turn, created some technology backlog for us as it relates to user friendliness and things of that nature, and just kind of being able to move around the system. And because they migrated to Office 365, which is more web-based opposed to hard drive-based, our hard drive for our department is completely full. So therefore, I was unable to save, since October the 7th, any particular documents, because the training that was received as it relates to the particular software didn't really make our department. So which meant I'd been sending several emails on a almost every other week basis advising them that I could not save, so therefore that's the reason why you don't have any investigations done, because I had nowhere to save them. But then, once I finally then reached out to higher beings, I then was able to speak to somebody, and they spent 15 minutes with me on the telephone, and then lucky who, then I could save. Because they showed me how to use the web portion of it and to activate it that way. But now the issue is that when we save, we still can create folders on our current S drive. But me moving it to the cloud it's not saving that new folder. I'm only getting what I put in the cloud prior to. So it's not working as like a main hub, like our H drive was working as a main hub. So now we've got a request into IT because nobody wants to drag and drop a folder every time to that cloud, because we think that it should be some way for it to sync or something. So,
I'm sure it does somehow.
the reason why, hence, it's been fun times in the office. It's been frustrating. And then our computers were tied up as we moved to merge all of those documents to the cloud, in which we could really not do much while it was merging to the cloud. Even though we started it when we left last night after finding out how to do it, we still came into it still downloading. And then because some of the forms that we previously used and some of the systems that we previously used are not Office 365 compatible, so I still have to maintain those other drives until we figure out how to shorten the name, do something else. So yeah, it's been fun times in the office, but I'll tell you about what else we've been able to accomplish in the meantime.
So the city uses this 365, the entire city?
Yes. Yep. We have all moved to Microsoft Office 365, which then creates Teams opposed to WebEx and all of that kind of stuff. So you will see sometimes when I email a calendar invite, it also could sometimes give you a link to a Teams meeting if we wanted to hold it virtually instead of in person, which is kind of confusing to some not so technologically savvy people. So, including myself. Apparently I've not upgraded.
Not as savvy as you thought.
No. So.
But it's been interesting to watch from my perspective, because Raynette's been copying me on the emails, and I just sit there shaking my head going, I just can't believe that it can't be easier than this. But I think that a lot of times what happens is assumptions are made that people know things that they don't necessarily know, and that information doesn't get shared right away. And then once it gets shared, it's like, oh, duh, that makes sense. So hopefully moving forward, things will be good. Legislative requests. One of the things that we've been talking about is trying to get more money from other sources than the city. Apparently the city does send legislative requests to Albany on an annual basis, and those requests are usually in the beginning of the year. So Richard and Raynette and I have been working on, and are continuing to work on, trying to develop some things that we want to ask the state for some money for. One of those things would be community engagement. Obviously our budget of $200 a year does not go very far. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm tired of giving out dum-dums when we go to events and other, candy.
I ate a bunch of them, I don't know
Yeah, I mean, candy's good, but, Michael's got a really nice water bottle that he got, everyone else seems to be giving out, really nice things, and we give out candy, and I just feel like it would be nice if we could give out some other stuff. So we're going to request some money for that. Hopefully, one other thing that we're looking at requesting money for is, it's a position, but it's a mission, actually, to get the youth advisory board up and running and try and get to the youth and get a group from the high schools that can come to meetings and let us know what they need and get our word through them and the kids' word back to us. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll have some actual paper to share with how we're doing that, but that can be exciting too. Rainette, I think it's your turn.
All right, in terms of activity reports, we had 8 outreach events in the month of October. Thank you for those of you who were able to attend. We received 5 new cases in the month of October, bringing our total to 49 cases for a total of, for this year. We have 4 hearings that we need to work on scheduling, hence the reason why the hearing form and schedule is in your folder. Please, ma'am, and please, sir, check it, because we just we rotated over your availability from previous months over to that, and please look at it to see whether or not you are available based upon what it is, and please email Michael and let him know whether it is or not. We have your community engagement t-shirts and polos here. If you have not received them, please get those out of the box over there as well. Training. NACO has been doing a virtual training. I attended 3 of them yesterday, including another training that I attended about blunt force trauma. I will share those slides with you. I just got the email a little while ago. CRB open positions. Well, we extended an offer to somebody for our community engagement person. They are looking to start November the 9th. You'll get the opportunity to meet him. And I will share you guys his resume once that happens, and I will have him to come to next month's board meeting for you guys to be able to see him in person, unless you guys want to set up some sort of WebEx or a Microsoft Teams in order for you to meet them. But I'm quite sure we have some community engagement after he starts. So then actually the day after he starts. And I think what we learned the most in his absence is we've set up a few community engagement events and they have had low turnout. And so now we kind of have some feedback to be able to provide to him as to what we've done and what worked and what we've done and didn't work. And we should be able to, you know, capitalize on an additional person in the office. I will tell you that Michael applied for the data analysis position and is moving from the legal secretary position to our data analysis position. So therefore we will be rehiring again for a legal secretary position. But we all know that everybody is going to be all hands on deck until that person is hired. So Michael will continue in his current assignment and doing that particular work as we continue to work on another technology issue with IA Pro. We have been working to upgrade IA Pro because IA Pro is now also a web-based program opposed to a computer-related program. And we were all set and I thought we were ready, and then they said that we needed to pay another bill. So,
What is it that you're saying, that new?
I don't think she knows what IA Pro is.
IA Pro is a database that is utilized by many oversight agencies as well as the police
But
department.
what is it that you're saying? Spell it for me.
IA Pro.
Thank you.
And so we have had IA Pro since 2017. It is a database that we can use to run reports. It's a database that we could utilize outside of our regular desktop systems to put in particular documentation like body-worn cameras and things of that nature, and it can generate reports based on officer, based on injury, based on side of town, way better than the systems that we are currently using now, which are basically manually trying to do something or create some sort of Excel document to do this. The police department also utilizes the system, and what the intention was when we began using it was for both departments to kind of talk to each other, because you can also be able to have access to Blue Team in there, which is the use of force forms and other sort of forms if the departments were working together. That is essentially why IA Pro is an important piece, because if you can link it to the police department, that software would, you know what I mean, it would be useful. And also as it relates to the roster, the police department roster and things of that nature. So there is going to be heavy data-driven information and time to enter into all that data once we are fully up and running, but we should get a lot more results out of it and be able to do a lot more mini reports and things of that nature. But when we went to upgrade it, we found out that there was yet another upgrade on top of the upgrade that we were supposed to have already received. This was yet another one, and it was now more web-based. So I've been having lots of fun over the last month as it relates to technology and the lack of our ability to use what we pay for. But yeah, so that is,
Before you go further, are you at liberty to give us a name of the community engagement person that's gonna start November 9th?
his name is Anthony Hurd.
And Michael moving into the data analysis, will that be effective November 9th?
Yes. So we're gonna open up the position again for the legal secretary, and see if we get some more resumes, than what we received when we first had the position out there, and see what pool we kind of get.
So is this new office that we're moving to, is it gonna be pretty much set up to
Yes.
accommodate?
It's supposed to be set up to accommodate
This new
the
staff?
the new staff. Currently, I will tell you that the office, the new person will be sitting in the focus office, which is right near us. That they have an office that's like right across the hall from us. So they will be utilizing that particular office. Michael is going to stay in his particular seat right now until we shift over, and then we'll kind of utilize that, because the move initially was supposed to be at the end of this year, but it is now not going to be till sometime the first quarter of next year. So we have to utilize the space to accommodate the people right now. So we have been in contact. The city helped us get in contact with Focus and make sure Focus was okay with us utilizing the space. And then we have been working with IT to make sure we get the computers in enough time. Michael just got a laptop, which is going to be helpful. But then once IA Pro gets running, we have to have the laptop to get IA Pro on it. And currently that is not on either one of our computers, so it's going to be a little bit of time. So, SU interns, we talked about Grace. We are also interested in some SU fellows coming up to help us utilize some more funding that we have, some money that we did not spend for the months in which we were waiting for the community engagement person to be hired and for the data analysis to be hired. It gave us some money to utilize, and we are either able to hire somebody part-time working 20 hours a week, because you would not be able to work more than that based upon you needing to be given benefits and all of that kind of stuff. So 20 hours a week at a decent salary point, or we could ask for a fellow and give the fellow just an allotted amount of time, but they would still be paid just when we get paid on a bi-weekly basis. So we do have funds available to do that. So that's what we're looking to do. And we would either be looking for that person to work alongside the community engagement person, or to work alongside Michael as we're doing data, or we also could use them for research. You know, we could utilize them for a couple of different things. We could work our magic in. I'll tell you, the community engagement position, we got 83 resumes for that position. And then we got 50 resumes for the data analysis position. So apparently, I know how to write some job descriptions. So I'll finagle the job description and see how we can write it and see what we get, and hopefully we get a wide variety of people, and, you know, for our fellows or for our part-time position, and see how we can work this thing out. But we won't be losing any money that we acquired. I think that's the gist of my report.
Okay,
I think
so,
I handled community.
yeah, community outreach and public education.
NACO did that too. Police. Yep.
Yeah, the community outreach has been interesting. No one came to Tucker. Did anyone come to one group?
No.
No one came, yep, no one came there. No one's here right now.
Right, I think Tucker's 3-day festival was a good place for us to be. I don't know that we listened to too many people, but they at least got our information, and that's more than we had before. So I don't know what anybody else's experience was. With me, they stopped, they took some information, they said good job and left. I mean, they were, it was, yeah.
Pretty much it.
Well,
I have a question
that's the
though.
start.
When I walked out of Tucker, there was a flyer on my car. Is that something that we would think about ever doing, is having someone put in literature on cars, or is that
Yeah.
wasteful?
No, we could, and we have some additional, you know, materials that we could utilize to put on cars. We just have to have the manpower, because when Michael and myself are out of the office, nothing in the office gets done. So we would tell you that the month that we utilized last month to do a lot of community engagement, a lot of office stuff didn't get done, but I guess hence a lot of office stuff couldn't get done. So I guess we kind of had perfect timing. But it was a lot of work to, you know, get everything out there. Let's not forget, we have McChesney coming up. We have,
I'm doing Kirk next Monday.
yep, and Lori's doing Kirk next Monday.
If anyone would like to join me, I will be there from 4 to 6 at the after-school program at was it the Seals building?
Yes, yep, and then we need to, I'm waiting, because most of the boys and girls clubs right now, because football season is just ending, they didn't have a whole lot of kids there, so they were waiting kind of to like this month and in December, because they expected to have more kids because football season would be over. So we'll be asking, you know, if you could go to the Boys and Girls Club in your neighborhood. There's one on East Fayette, there's Westmoreland, there is Shonard Street, there is over there, and
Is that on Fayette or Erie? One of the,
It's on the corner of
there's the one that's in the
East
village.
Fayette and Crowley Street.
yeah, there's also one on the west side on Fayette. too.
Genesee,
Oh.
Genesee and Fayette.
And then there's the one that is down there in Central Village. So there's a Boys and Girls Club down there too. So we need to be thinking about how we engage them. I have sent things out to them, and they were going to see when their numbers came back up, and then invite us over to do that kind of thing. So we have been making the contact that we need to make as it relates to that, but I just want to keep putting that out there.
And at least with Kirk and McChesney, it's an after-school program, so they're kind of captive audience. So if they'll at least be somebody there,
Right.
You know, which is more than there was at the other thing.
So we want to do it at other parks too.
There's no teens though.
At McChesney there is. That's the one where there's a lot more teens.
Oh, I know Kirk is like little.
Kirk is little.
Yeah, Kirk is like more little kids, but
I'll bring
McChesney is
candy to Kirk. You know.
McChesney is more older kids. So we hope to, you know, engage that population. We really want to start hitting middle school and up, because we are seeing the interaction that they are having with the police, and we need to be educating the parents. There's a lot of things coming down in the pipeline as to laws that people need to be made aware of, that we could be a good catalyst to be sharing that information, because one, many parents aren't receiving that information until their child is caught up in the juvenile justice system, but we want to make sure we educate them before they get there, and we want to try to curb that behavior before they continue down that road. We as a city have a lot of programs that are geared toward when people when they are in touch with the criminal justice system, but we want to keep them out of there first. And so
Why not assemblies in schools by grades?
we would like to do that as well. That's going to be an approach that we will be speaking with the superintendent about trying to do. We just need to make sure we have the manpower in the office to do it, unless we would be looking to the board members to commit to a school on their side of town, you know what I mean? In their council district to do it at. And so we just can't, so yes, we would love to do that. So we will approach the superintendent about that, but
Why
again,
the superintendent? Why not the principal of the school?
because I think we would have to still reach out, because we would have to be cleared by the district in order to go into schools. Which is what I thought there was, like, even when you volunteer into the schools, there's usually a background check or something of that nature that you usually have to do. We should be able to still approach principals individually about doing it, but I think that we would have to have something, like, at least so that the superintendent would be, you know, aware of it. If that protocol has changed or whatever, we can revisit that, but that was my understanding.
If you
But
were to go to the principal would most likely tell you, I have to address the superintendent and get
Not
clearance
stuff
for
like
it.
to go to the principal. But, all right, whatever. Doesn't matter.
I mean, we can figure out which avenue works best, because each school is gonna be different.
I think high schools,
Yeah.
specific grades.
But I think that
will
we
be more
would,
effective.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that there would have to be some way to do it though, because having to pull kids out, you know what I mean, as a collective during, you know what I mean, a particular time would take a little bit more than us just showing up saying, hey, you know.
It's been a long time since I've been in high school. Do they still do, like,
Large assemblies is what
Do
you
they
said.
have-
No, that's, I
Yeah,
mean, when
I'm
I
just-
was in school, that's what they did, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Okay.
So, that was many, many moons ago, but,
Many.
right, yes.
Right, so
I
that's
mean, I just
why,
wonder, like, are they scheduled, or do they just have special ones?
usually
I mean,
there's special scheduled ones, is from what, it's my understanding. So that's why I said we would have to try to, you know, work with the parameters that need to be worked with, but that's an excellent idea.
So you know if yours was many moons ago, then you know mine was many.
Right, many, many,
Many,
many, many,
I'm
many.
way older than I look.
I know how old you are, and I'm way older than I look.
Board development and training, you got the NACO stuff online?
Yeah, the NACO stuff online, I'll share the videos for you guys as it relates to that. Watch the videos at your leisure. And then we don't have any government relations meetings coming up. We do have the police liaison committee meeting, so if you are, actually, the government relations actually would be Chol. We do have a meeting with Chol coming up this coming Monday.
Yep.
At 1:30, he's gonna meet with myself and Lori. And we'll come back and report as to how that meeting goes. The meetings that I've been having with the police chief every month have been good. We've talked about their outstanding responses for cases, our findings responses. We've talked about those, and their need to respond, even if it's a case that we did not recommend discipline on. They still need to respond saying that they agree with, you know, the board not voting for discipline or not closing out a case, but the board going to a hearing and then exonerating an officer for a particular allegation. So they have several of those that are outstanding. They have still not hired the person for the chief accountability officer, and that person would be the one that's responding to our findings letters. But I've asked them that even though they haven't hired that particular person, that they still need to respond to our letters, so they said that they would work on them. We are still waiting for 2 other responses from them on some other matters. We did speak to them about their definition for racial profiling, and that definition didn't work for me. It was really hard to understand, and I don't think we could put that on our complaint form and have the complainant understand what that meant. So we have to revisit our explanation on the complaint form as it relates to racial profiling and bias. Because some people are checking it and stating it's because the officer was white and I'm black. or vice versa, or I was a female and he was you know what I mean? There's kind of things that are happening that we need to try to, get them to understand exactly what racial profiling and bias is. And that again is another community engagement type of aspect in which being able to let them know that. And I think there was something else I
So
wanted
you
to
having these conversations monthly with just the chief, or is there other people with?
No,
some
just the
input?
chief. I have a monthly meeting with the chief. We have the police liaison committee meeting every quarter. But yeah, my monthly meetings with the chief, we had one in September, we had one in October, and we'll have one this month
And the discussion is around these things, so.
around these things.
So what's the issue as far as the language? Is it
So
just
I
his
told them
opinion
that I
versus
heard it.
yours?
I told them that we did receive it. First, we hadn't received it. Then by the time we went to the next meeting, we received it, and I told them that there's no way that anybody understands what that means.
What is, I mean, where is it?
It's on their webpage.
It's on their webpage, I believe.
So they want us to put what's on their webpage? in
No, we
ours?
talked about, at the last police liaison committee meeting, we talked about the fact that people seem to be confused about how to answer the question, was your arrest racial profiling or bias? And they said, well, we took the city's definition of racial profiling and put it on our webpage, if you want to take a look at that. So we took a look at it and said, yeah, we're not going to
So
use
why
that.
can't we?
So that's
So
what we
what-
need to do now.
So that's what we're
is
saying.
do our own-
I'm gonna read it to you.
Yes.
I'm gonna read it to you. It says, an inappropriate reliance on actual or perceived characteristics such as race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, economic status, age, cultural group, disability, or affiliation with any non-criminal group, protected characteristics as the basis for providing differing law enforcement service or enforcement.
That's what they want us to put on our,
No, that's what they have on theirs.
That's what they have on
oh,
theirs.
okay.
And so I was saying, well, when a complainant is told that information, I'm quite sure they then answer no, because that's a lot to absorb.
Right.
So we need to figure out a better, you know what I mean, a
But it
definite.
covers all bases though.
But for the population for which we get complaints from, that's a lot to absorb. So therefore, we cannot put that on there and expect
just wanna
that
make it
to
easy for them.
explain what it is.
And I think statistically, we need to keep track of racial profiling, not any other.
We need to keep track of
Discrimination
racial
at this point.
profiling and bias. We can do it as it relates to, gender and things of that nature, because it's all encompassing at times.
We've had cases that
Right.
related to gender,
But
so.
that definition isn't gonna make somebody know that I should check yes or no, is the point. You know what I mean? And we'll still continue to get the same thing because people won't understand the definition.
In the definition, it said perceived, right?
Yes.
And that's
It
gotta be-
said,
No, yes, so
it said an inappropriate reliance on actual or perceived characteristics such as race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, economic status, age, cultural group, disability, or affiliation with any non-criminal group of protected characteristics as the basis for providing differing law enforcement services or enforcement. It's just too many.
It's too much.
I get what it says, and it does cover all the bases. It's just too, we need to make it,
But then,
even if I
not
put
to-
this
not
on
to-
there.
Not to keep it prolonged, but it feels like if you take too much out, then it's not gonna cover something. I don't know how you reword
Right.
some of those things.
And I might go ahead and say,
because it's the perception is what makes it easier. So did you feel, it's either did it happen or do you feel?
right.
that
Or put it in a
someone
question
was-
form to
yeah,
them.
Correct, that's what I'm
somebody
saying. So if we put this definition in there,
profile.
right, if we put this definition in there by itself, we can't just do that.
okay.
We would then have to then say, okay, based upon that, did you feel that you get what I mean?
Or you
Because,
could break it down and put the
Right.
definitions by word or by whatever.
Correct,
That
yeah.
makes sense, but don't alleviate it because
correct.
I liked it.
No, and
Right, but you
right.
understand it.
But you
Right,
understand
no,
it.
no, and I understand what you guys are
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
too.
and I think
What
that
I'm saying.
unfortunately, the way we have it now, the complaint form just says, do you think your arrest was based on racial profiling?
And they don't
Yes
know
or no?
Yeah.
And there is no
Right,
definition.
and then it says, did the person use racial epithets or something of that nature, and
And then
you,
everybody says no, and
No.
then they're like,
I don't even know what that is.
okay. you
so
know.
a racial epithet would be a derogatory name that you call somebody based upon
Okay.
their gender.
Put the sentiment.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But alone, I have to say, and when I'm talking to somebody, I have to say just that. Did they call you a particular name that could only be associated with your race or based upon what your perceived gender identity was or something? And then I get more
Put
answers.
it in layman's terms. I'm just saying.
That's what
Right.
I was trying to say.
Don't
Yeah.
take it out. That's what
No,
I'm saying.
it's not in
Oh,
there
yeah,
now, but we intend to use it. We just intend to have follow-up questions. If no, don't answer the rest of the questions. If yes, elaborate, you know? But my also point is that I think that if a person feels that they were stopped based on racial bias or profiling, that should be the theme of the whole complaint. It should say, I was driving my car, I'm a whatever kind of man driving a car in this particular neighborhood, and I felt like they pulled me over because I was this type of guy driving this type of car at this time of night in this neighborhood. Because it almost seems like it comes out of nowhere. You get what I mean? And then it's asking them to question it. But if it was truly that, you should be able to see it throughout the whole complaint
Why
form.
not on the app? Make the app so that they can pick which category it was
Right.
instead of just a general application on the app.
Right, and that's what we're saying. We've got to figure out how to break it down because we need the data, but we just got to make sure we're getting good data. Because right now, people are, when it's being explained like this, people are then saying no.
No, but then on the other side, some people may not even realize that they have the racially profiled.
Right.
So when you have that conversation, it's like we already know in certain neighborhoods where people are more apt to get pulled over
Yeah.
in certain types of vehicles.
Yeah.
So you already know, so they may not realize it could be
Right,
something
and then-
regular
but-
that I'm not gonna put on there that I'm a black woman driving a vehicle at this time. It's gonna be because we're all growing up. I get pulled over right here every single time on this corner.
Right, and so when we're having a discussion, we kind of get to that conclusion, but we've got to find a way because I'm not, when you're filling it out, because then it sounds like, oh, only when Raynette talked to this person did all of this come out. We got to figure out how to get all of that to come out when they're filling out the form by themselves. And that's the gist of it, because then when I come back and I say, well, they told me X, Y, Z, and they're like, well, it wasn't on the complaint form. I'm like, yeah, but then when I asked them this question and I spoke to them about this is the rest of the information. But it seems like it's not matching.
Right.
And not saying that they don't believe me, but they're just saying that it's just,
against the police and
Okay, moving right along. We're working on the definition.
right, yeah. So, but that's the reason why we couldn't just blatantly put it there, but that's the reason why we're having the discussion. I think that's it.
I don't see any community organizations. Is there any public comment? Mr. Public? Do we need executive session or no?
I don't think
Have
so.
we, we don't have any cases to discuss, but my question is, has the attorney for the officers involved in the upcoming hearings we have to schedule responded with
She
availability?
has not, she was in trial. I saw her yesterday.
Okay.
And she said that she owes me an email. She said she would send it yesterday, but I'm gonna follow up with her tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we have not received it, so we don't have dates. That's why it's important to have your availability to kind of pull from.
Gotcha. All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'm motion.
Thank you, Cynthia. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, have a
Thank
happy
you.
Thanksgiving, be safe. Enjoy.
Anyone who would like to join me at Kirk, please feel free to.